How's everybody doing this morning? That's great. Wonderful. Yeah, we're already running late, and I'm going to go ahead and get started. That's a fun joke we have here. My name is David. I'm the worship guy, and I have the honor to hang out with you all this morning and talk through the next chapter in our Going in Circles series, Numbers. Greg just didn't want to be here. He's kind of terrible like that. I'm totally joking. I don't know where he's at. It's one of those quick getaways. I'm glad they got to go hang out, and we're glad to give him a break. He does a lot. So look, this week I was reminded of kind of the whole entirety of today. I was reminded because me and two buddies every morning go to the bus stop at 7:08, and we hang out for a couple of minutes with all the kids there. We talk and we get ready and we send the kids off to school, and then it's like a little King of the Hill back alley. You're standing there sipping on your coffee, and we hang out for a little bit. And it's just a couple of old boys in their 40s just kicking it. And it's a beautiful thing for me. It's one of my favorite parts of the week, to be quite frank. I look forward to it every morning. My wife has gotten to the point where she understands that I'm not coming back in to drink coffee with her. She can go ahead and go get dressed. I'm going to hang out with Randy and Matt, and it's a lot of fun for me. And this week, we were hanging out, and one of the guys celebrated a birthday. He turned 106. I'm joking. He's still in his 40s, but just barely. And I think next year we're going to have to probably go to his side of the street to get that senior citizen discount and not make him have to spend the extra 20 steps. But we're sitting there talking this I think it was Thursday morning. And it kind of came up about our kids growing older. My daughter Brindley, who was just singing, is going to be going to a camp in Louisiana this week. Tomorrow she'll be leaving to go to camp, and she'll spend the summer there as a counselor at a camp there, and we're excited and proud, and honestly, I'm kind of sad. Amy and I have both kind of cried on our own, and for whatever reason, we're sad. I don't know. If you've met Brindley, maybe you shouldn't be sad. I don't know. But no, of course, we're sad. We're honestly kind of devastated that she's going to be gone for a couple of months. So there's all of that weighing on me. We're talking about our kids getting into teenage territory. We were laughing because one of the dads, the younger one, he is like, "Hey man, my oldest told his first inappropriate joke this week. It was really funny." And so he tells us this really hilarious joke that his 9-year-old boy made, and we laugh. And you know what we said? We said what every old boy has told every other old boy. Man, it goes by fast, doesn't it? Because it does. And so many of you know it. Some of you that are young, you don't know it. But some of you that have had a kid for more than a half a minute, you realize that it really, really does go quick. I think a lot of us have had some sort of graduation event this week. Put your hand up if you've had some sort of graduation. I know we've had a lot of graduates. We were hanging out earlier with one of the girls in the back. She's helping with our tech today, and she graduated Friday. We were celebrating that with her. And man, those life journey, those little landmark moments where you go to that next phase, that next thing, it really is a beautiful deal. And the truth is, we see them all the time. Every year this stuff comes around, right? It's not like it's foreign to us. It's not like we don't have it in front of us. It happens fast. You can't stop the train. You can reminisce all you want, but you can never turn it back and go backwards. You can't hit the VCR rewind button because those are obsolete now, right? You can't go back as much as we'd want to. And today, that's exactly where we're going to find the Israelites. We're coming out of chapter 13. Greg went through chapter 13 last week. We're headed into chapter 14. You can go ahead and turn there, but don't read ahead. Nobody likes a cheater. And I found out this really interesting fact about this moment in time with the Israelites. This Numbers 13 and 14 window, this little interaction that is pretty prominent in the story, I would say that it's kind of a hinge in the Old Testament. It's a pretty pivotal moment. Do you realize this only happened like 12 to 18 months after the Exodus? It's kind of hard to remember that. Get rid of my in-ear monitors here. It's kind of hard for us to keep that in frame. But it really wasn't that long ago. I can remember things we did last year. I can remember softball games that my daughter played last year with some pretty good detail. Okay? It's not that far away. Just 18 months or so ago, the Israelites left Egypt. Mind you, they were like 400 years in slavery, right? I mean, that's a long time. 400 years of enslavement, of just forced labor, no flourishing of one's culture or ethnicity, nothing to really celebrate the identity of what makes an Israelite, just the thumb of the Egyptians, pushing down, forced work, build it bigger for us. We've all seen Prince of Egypt. The cartoon's pretty good at demonstrating what that must look like and feel like. It's not perfectly biblical, but it's still a good visual. 400 years, and here in 18 months, they've seen miraculous deliverance. They saw the plagues. They had Moses come in. Aaron came in. You see all of these really supernatural things in front of the Egyptian ruler. They're a part of this movement. The Red Sea parts. God protects them. He delivers them. There's that moment of just, here's the final straw. Boom, the waters fall and kill all of the Egyptian army. The Israelites are free and clear on the other side. It's this beautiful moment of celebration. They go to Mount Sinai. They're seeing the presence of God like really manifest. You've got a literal fire in the sky leading them, a cloud in the sky protecting them and leading them. These are supernatural wonders. If you heard of someone telling you any of this today, you'd be like, yeah, but that wasn't real, was it? Like we would immediately jump to skepticism. In fact, Brother Loon shared, and I was in the back and I couldn't quite hear, and quite frankly, I was trying to write my sermon while you were doing your interview. But he shared a beautiful story with us on Wednesday morning, talking about how the oppression of this people group has been very real, but they're hearing stories. And did you share this? You're hearing stories of these figures that they shoot and they can't kill? What was your first thought? Really? Some supernatural being? God's protection in a truly atrocious moment? I think as Americans, I think our first thought is, I don't know. Why? The Israelites were just like that. They see one thing after another. Chapter 11, God is providing literal food. It's like oatmeal falling from the sky. We're going to recap 11, 12, and 13. It's like oatmeal falling from the sky. At the end of chapter 11, he literally brings like a swarm of quail. Now, some of you guys like to go hunting in the grasslands. That'd be cool. You're just shooting, you don't miss. Just quail everywhere. Hordes of quail. That sounds like a party to me. God is providing these things, but the Israelites, they still find a reason to complain, and God gets pretty ticked off. Chapter 12, you've got Miriam and Aaron. They've got a beef with Moses. They're mad at Moses. Leader on leader. They're about to brawl it out. They're frustrated. They're angry. You know what God does to Miriam? He puts her in like a leprosy timeout. He's like, here, take your leprosy, stay outside the camp for 7 days. Quit jacking around with things. So God is moving them around. He's setting them up. He's orchestrating and setting the stage. He gets them into the wilderness of Paran. Chapter 13, which is where we were at last week. By the way, you can go to the website and watch this sermon. I encourage you to do so, from Greg last week. It's this awesome story of God using Moses to bring together 12 spies to send into the land of Canaan. I love a good espionage movie, so as soon as you see the word spies, I'm like, wait, what? Okay. So here you got 12 spies. They're sneaking into the promised land that God set them all up for. They're there for a little while. I can't remember off the top of my head. Somebody say it. Anybody remember? There you go, 40 days. They're there for a little while. 12 of them come back. 2 of them are like, dude, this is sweet. We got it. It's going to be amazing. The land's incredible. They had a cluster of grapes so big it took 2 dudes carrying a pole to get it in. I have to imagine it tastes better than any cotton candy grape I've ever had. And I love cotton candy grapes. I ain't even joking. Could you imagine grape clusters that heavy? They're bringing them something that is refreshing. They're bringing them this opportunity. And what did the other 10 say? They said, hey, yeah, it's cool, but man, the people are huge. They're giants. The cities they're huge and they're fortified. So they inserted this big old but right there into the conversation. And they said, but the people are scary, but it's impenetrable, this fortress. We can't do it. Little side note among many that you'll get today. My daughter and wife were in Coweta. My daughter's 10. Greg didn't do it, but Ryan Fankhauser, when he got to the butt of the story, he said, and here's a big but. And my 10-year-old daughter died hysterically laughing at the big but. She thought that was quite funny. I thought it was funny too. Apparently you guys didn't. That's okay, whatever. I don't care. I'll laugh on my own. But it's an important moment because 10 out of the 12 said, yeah, that's true. Yeah, these grapes are amazing, but. And then they gave all the reasons why they couldn't do it. They gave the old proverbial, we can't. So I got a question. I want you to listen real carefully, and I want you to think of an answer to yourself. What is it about the human condition that allows us to see the power, the greatness, the worthiness, the supernatural qualities of a great God and still make doubtful and dumb choices? I mean, what is it about the human condition that over and over, time and time again, when we're faced with an opportunity and we have all of this weight of evidence, there's literal supernatural beings sent to protect, and we can't help but become doubtful and dumb? And that's where we find ourselves in 14. I like to sort of create a flow in my head. It's how I manage it. It's like one connects to the next, connects to the next. This chapter is really simple. There's really 4 things, and I wrote it out as this: stupid, middleman, consequences, still stupid. So if you want to write that down, I didn't put it up there because I thought I might get in trouble. But that's the flow of this chapter, okay? You can cheat on the test with this. Stupid, middleman, consequences, still stupid. Let's hop into 14. What we find is the Israelites face to face with this opportunity, face to face with this moment where change is placed in front of them, and all they have to do is walk forward. Here, I'll use the stage. All they have to do is walk forward and just trust God one more time. Let's see what they do. Let's hop into verses 1 through 3. Then all the congregation raised a loud cry, and the people wept that night. This is because the 10 dudes just said, we can't. So the people are now overwhelmed. They're sad. They wept all night, and all the people of Israel grumbled against Moses and Aaron. The whole congregation said to them, would that we had died in the land of Egypt, or that we had died in this wilderness. Why is the Lord bringing us into this land to fall by the sword? Our wives and our little ones will become a prey. We'd rather die in Egypt. We'd rather die in this wilderness. It's just inevitable that our kids and our wives, our loved ones will perish. There's 4 tendencies of people when they're confronted with the opportunity of significant change, and Israel is showing us one of them. The first one is that we have a tendency to complain. Now that honestly simplifies what's occurring right here in this moment, but it works for us. We have a tendency to complain. Oh my gosh, Egypt, I'd rather die there. This wilderness, I'd rather starve to death out here. Everybody's gonna die. Nothing but complaints. Verse 3b and 4, would it not be better for us to go back to Egypt? And they said to one another, and listen to this, let us choose a leader and go back. I've got a better idea. Let's go back to where we came from. Let's go back to enslavement. Let's go back to our forced labor camps. And then they say, let's pick a better leader. I think I can do it a little bit better than God. I think I can do better than his chosen person. And then we realize quickly that the second tendency is that we have a tendency to want to sabotage. We think we know better. This is super close to the golden calf scene in Exodus 32. Moses is stepped away in the presence of God. And what do the people do? They don't know what to do with themselves, so they say, hey, Aaron, you can be our new leader. Hey, build us a beautiful golden cow or goat or whatever it was. Give us something tangible that I can touch and see with my realize that I can count on to be there when I need to look at it, when I need to feel good about myself. Give that to us. This is the same thing. We always want something tangible. We make idols out of all kinds of stuff. Verses 5 through 9. Then Moses and Aaron fell on their faces before all the assembly of the congregation of the people of Israel. And Joshua the son of Nun and Caleb the son of Jephunneh, who were those who had spied out of the land, tore their clothes and said to the congregation of the people of Israel, the land which we passed through to spy it out is an exceedingly good land. If the Lord delights in us, he will bring us into this land and give it to us, a land that flows with milk and honey. Only do not rebel against the Lord, and do not fear the people of the land, for they are bread for us. Their protection is removed from them, and the Lord is with us. Do not fear them. You have the four leaders that have some sense, that are willing to follow. You have Moses, Aaron, the two spies, Caleb and Joshua. They're pleading with the people. They're begging them. The Lord is good. The Lord is with us. And how do the people respond? Verse 10. All the congregation said to stone them. Redundantly, they said to stone them with stones. But the glory of the Lord appeared at the tent of meeting to all the people of Israel. What in the world? They've seen all of these things just 18 months ago. They've been protected this whole time. Let's kill the leaders. Let's do it on our own. The third tendency is that we have a tendency to resist new things. The promised land is right there, but they're trying to push rewind and go backwards. They would rather go and die in an enslavement camp than to trust God moving forward. They haven't realized that you just can't go back. You can only move forward and trust. So here's God's response. Spoiler alert, he's pretty ticked. And the Lord said to Moses, how long will this people despise me? And how long will they not believe in me in spite of all the signs that I've done among them? I will strike them with pestilence and disinherit them, and I will make you a great nation, a nation greater and mightier than they. God is super ticked off. But Moses does what Moses does always. My favorite commentator, I love saying that. My favorite commentator is Dr. Bob Utley out of East Texas. And when I was reviewing some of the notes in this chapter, he made the point that not only does this chapter demonstrate how willing the people are to grumble against Moses, their leader, you could basically sum up all of Numbers with that. The people complain to Moses, and Moses does what? He intercedes on their behalf. In the next few verses, he literally sort of like lobbies, much like a lawyer would do. He's almost throwing God's words back at him and says, God, look, if you don't let them go forward, people around you are going to hear. And they're not going to trust you because of it. He's literally trying to flip it on God. It's really funny. He says in verse 19, this is Moses to God, pleading, please pardon the iniquity of this people according to the greatness of your steadfast love, just as you have forgiven this people from Egypt until now. And God responds. He says, then the Lord says, I have pardoned according to your word, but truly as I live, and as all the earth shall be filled with the glory of the Lord, none of the men who have seen my glory and my signs that I did in Egypt and in the wilderness, and yet have put me to the test these 10 times, and have not obeyed my voice, none of them shall see the land that I swore to give to their fathers, and none of those who despise me shall see it. We pick it up in verse 28. Say to them, as I live, declares the Lord, what you have said in my hearing I will do. Your dead bodies shall fall in this wilderness. They get what they asked for. And all of your number listed in the census from 20 years old and upward, who have grumbled against me, not one shall come into the land where I swore that I would make you dwell, except for Caleb, the son of Jephunneh, and Joshua, the son of Nun. But your little ones, who you said would become prey, I will bring them in. They shall know the land that you have rejected. But as for you, your dead bodies shall fall in this wilderness, and your children shall be shepherds in the wilderness 40 years, and shall suffer for your faithlessness until the last of your dead bodies lies here in the wilderness. I, the Lord, have spoken. Surely this will I do to all this wicked congregation who are gathered together against me. In this wilderness they shall come to an end, and there they shall die. Wow. God was ticked. The people are pardoned for the moment, but God kind of gives them what they asked for. An entire generation will be left to be buried in that wilderness in the dirt there. They get exactly what they feared for. And so the whole entire story has this giant 40-year window. This 40-year-old pause button gets hit. And God says, okay, I can wait. This promised land I have in front of you, I can wait. And as bad as that is, they're still stupid. God takes his hand off of them in that moment. We have to understand that God has had this hedge of provision around them, and he says, fine, you want it like that? I'll give it to you like that. And he removes this protection over this generation. And the generation, they don't know what to do, and they've been complaining and grumbling so long, they decide then to do this, and we're going to jump to verse 49. This is their response to God's decree. The people mourned greatly, and they rose early in the morning and went up to the heights of the hill country, saying, here we are. Basically saying, we're right here. The promised land is there. I can see it. We'll go up to that place that the Lord has promised, for we have sinned. But Moses says, why now are you transgressing the command of the Lord, when that you will not succeed? Do not go up there, for the Lord is not among you, lest you be struck down before your enemies. So here they are. All of this nonsense has happened. And even in the face of that, they still try to do it on their own. And they still try to seek control, which is our fourth tendency. We have a tendency to do it ourselves. And guess what they do? They go into battle. In the last chapter, or the last verse of this chapter, then the Amalekites and the Canaanites who lived in that hill country came down and defeated them and pursued them even to Hormah. Still stupid. God punishes them. He says, hey, here's how it's going to be. And then they say, you know what? We can do it on our own. So they go to battle without God's protection. What's crazy is just a few verses later, they were talking about how big and scary these people were. And now without God's protection, they walk right into it and they're defeated. This right here in Numbers 14 is like a case study for our own human condition. There's nothing that's new to us. In fact, as I go through those 4 little application points as we went through, I guarantee you your brain is already firing. You already know like ways where you or people you know have done exactly one or maybe all of those 4 things. I've done all 4 of those things without question. So it hits today like a reality check of sorts. How are we going to embrace what's coming? Well, the good news is this. I don't know if you saw it. Maybe you came in on this side on the west. But if you'll just walk to the end of this lobby out there and look through those big windows, there's a new curb and there's some gravel that's been put in there. Jason Stunkard and Kai Morgan and the crew, Addie with a shovel, by the way. What are you, like 6 months pregnant with a shovel? They were out there cleaning out all those black pellets. Who's familiar with those black pellets in the playground over here on the west side? Why are you familiar with it? Say it out loud. What? Stains your shoes? Whose shoes is it stain? I don't play on it anymore. My wife won't let me. Whose shoes does it stain? Kids, right? So let's just imagine one of you lovely people, you're out at Los Cabos on the patio and you meet this really nice couple and you're like, hey, you seem really cool. Do you want to know Jesus? And they're like, yeah, I'd like to know Jesus. And then you're like, hey, why don't you come to church with me? Your kids will really love it. So they come to church with you. And then their kids go to church, and they're hanging out with Noah and Marcia. And then it comes to that moment where they can't take it anymore inside, so they take them outside. And they go and play. Well, it just so happens that this lovely couple from Los Cabos just bought brand new shoes for their kids. And then they went out to the playground. And now they got black all over their shoes. It's been a pain point for us. But here's the cool thing. This is why I say it. I'm not saying that to make us feel bad. I'm actually saying that to make us feel good. Please, when you walk out of here, walk that way. Go look and celebrate in your heart the blessing of us getting rid of it. We embraced a moment where we could have said, it's fine. It's actually not that big of a deal. But I can tell you we've had at least 2 sets of shoes that we bought on a weekend. Our kid happened to wear them up here and they came home ruined. That is a problem, but we fixed it. We embraced it. I say that not to make you feel bad. That's just what happens. Things get old. It's fine. We're fixing the problem. And I'm thankful for people who are willing to go and dig that stuff out and throw it away so we can move on to the next thing. The playground is a demonstration of us making the right call when change is presented to us. So how then do we continue to embrace change in a healthy and godly way? The first thing, you ready? You should be writing these down. There's going to be a quiz. Number 1, remain faithful to unchangeable things. We as believers in Jesus, we know that there are core truths. Hebrews 13:8. Jesus Christ is the same what? Come on, wake up. Yesterday, today, and how long? Forever and ever. Isaiah 4:8. Grass withers, flowers fall. But what? The word of the Lord stands forever. There are core values and truths that we are going to hold extremely tightly with a vice grip. We're never going to let it go because it's that important. Culture will try to move us and we will say, no, God loves you, I promise. I promise He loves you. It's worth it. I'm going to hold on to this truth. It's worth it for you that I hold on to this truth. We are going to hold faithful to these unchangeable things. But number 2, we have to determine to be flexible. If you have your Bible, open up to Luke 5. We're going to jump to verse 37. If not, it's going to be right here on the screen, I think, Kai. No one pours new wine into old wineskins. If he does, the new wine will burst the skins, the wine will run out, and the wineskins will be ruined. No, new wine must be poured into new wineskins. And no one after drinking old wants the new, for he says the old is better. You can't take new wine and put it into the old skins. Guess what? The new wine is the gospel. The wine is the gospel. Guess what the wineskins are? All of the methods, all of the tools, all of the resources, the way we used to do it, that's a wineskin. Guess what? The way we're going to try to do it, that's going to become an old wineskin sometime. It's the nature of all of it. It's okay. The gospel, that's the wine. That's the unchangeable thing that we will hold to. But the wineskins can come and go. The methods can move. The recipe can move. I've already told you about the bus stop, but I've been watching the NBA playoffs a lot. I got really disillusioned with basketball. Who's been watching the playoffs? Anybody? Yeah, a couple of us, good. My wife and I were Spurs fans early on in our marriage with Duncan, and even at the end of Robinson and Avery and Ginobili and Coach Pop. And I've been pretty fixed on this Victor Wembanyama guy. Call him Wemby because his name's pretty difficult. He is incredible to watch. The tallest guy in the league, 6'5". He's smooth as butter, blocks everything that's even near the paint. It was a fun series to watch against Minnesota, and guess who they play next? They play our Thunder. We love the Thunder too, SGA, baby. I'm excited to watch this series. But I got to be honest, man, about 15 years ago, basketball got weird to me. We stopped watching because it got very, very different than the way I grew up playing basketball. It didn't make sense that everybody threw up threes with their eyes closed. Nobody followed their shot. Nobody boxed out. It became very fast-paced. I didn't understand it. But watching this series, this last series, I get it. I'm starting to understand it's different and it's difficult. You ever heard the name Isaac Watts? He's considered the father of modern hymnology. Basically, he started the hymn movement in churches. You know, his dad was a minister. His dad fussed at him. He looked at Isaac one day because he wasn't sitting in the row singing. Well, guess what they sang back then? And a guy would say a line from the Psalms, and then they would repeat the psalm back in like melody form. That was their worship. They used the Psalms. He got reprimanded by his dad, and his response was, well, but none of these things rhyme. He said, well, then you can do it better if you don't like it. So Isaac did. When I survey the wondrous cross, alas, and did my Savior bleed. He wrote these incredibly powerful hymns in the 1700s. At the end of the 1700s, I was reminded of a pastor who went to the Presbyterian convention and rode from Kentucky on horseback. And he calls for attention and he says, please, for the love, do not adopt Isaac Watts hymns, that we would leave behind the psalmification, versification is what I think they call it. He wanted to go back to old wineskins. And for all of you out there that love hymns, that's your moment. That's the moment that they started for the first time. Sunday school has a very similar story. My dad was a big Sunday school guy as a pastor. When that movement came about, pastors hated it. They couldn't see the idea of going to school, which they considered work on a Sunday. They weren't treating the Sabbath as holy. One pastor was quoted as telling his congregations when they tried to start a Sunday school class, you imps of Satan, you start this class and I'll throw you out on the street to the devil. That's insanity. There's always an old wineskin and a new wineskin. On a personal note, I was reminded recently when I got a video sent to me of a worship song that they thought was cool. I won't say who it was. I turned on the video. It started pretty normal, a ring of people in some warehouse setting. And in the middle of that little circle of people was a guy playing keys and a guy sitting behind some sample pads with a mic. And they had this sort of this kind of beat. And he started singing, and it was very repetitive. He had auto-tune, that kind of vibe. He had that going as he was singing. Flo Rida, right? Not really. And all of a sudden, I was hit in the face with something I said about 20 years ago when I was doing a worship seminar for a group of South Louisiana pastors. And I said, one day, guys, I'm going to have to give up my 90s rock stuff that I love so much. Because one day there's going to be like a DJ up there with like scratch records and nothing but digital effects and a microphone, and he's going to lead everybody in worship. And I'm going to have to go, how can I support that? And I'm going to have to decide, am I going to fight for an old wineskin or am I going to want something new? And then it was sent to me in a text message 2 weeks ago. And I realized I really am in my 40s, and my goodness, how time flies. It's personal to me too. I know it's personal to you. Of course it is. That just means you love Jesus. That just means we all have commonality that we want to see it succeed. And guess what? I personally refuse to be that generation that decides that we're going to take 40 years in a desert to die off before God can move his people forward. I refuse to be that. I refuse to allow the pain of staying the same to win. Let me say it like this. We have to decide that the pain of the change is far better than the pain of staying the same. It's got to hurt you to want to sit and do nothing. It's got to hurt. Guess what? Our church was in decline from 2010 to 2020. Thank God for COVID in that moment, because it shook us. And I'm not talking a little decline, a lot of decline. 20s and 40s were nowhere. Guess who's here today? A lot of 20s and 40s. There are tons of babies. I'm so excited for the playground because they're going to get to play on it without black shoes. It's going to be awesome. You guys as a church have embraced it for the last 5 or 6 years. It is not declining. God is doing something here because you have decided and determined that the crossroads in front of me, I'm ready to step forward. New is better. I trust my God. I trust what's going to happen here. He is going to use us to do something cool. And I believe that, and I thank you for that. We can do it. This is a message today, not of frustration, but a message of hope for all of us. Because you've already begun to embrace what's coming. So for those of you who have grumbled, that's fine. Everybody gets a foul. That's why you get 5 of them. It's okay. Nobody's mad. Let's put our hands together and let's go. I want what God has. I promise I'm wrapping it up. If you're one of those grumbling people, that's fine. Let's just go. Let's get unified and go. If you're one of the spies, maybe you're an early adopter. Maybe you're just tired and worn out because you've been busting it. And you feel like you're the only one. Guess what? We're still going. God's still going to move. He's still going to do something cool. We're going to get to see the promised land, baby. If you're a leader, I need to hear this sometimes, and you're just worn out, it's going to be worth it. If you don't know Jesus at all, the greatest change that you're going to ever see is when you come to know Jesus and that transformation takes hold. And the people in this room, it's interesting, people in this room have felt that. They know that. The final point of what we're going to do and how we're going to embrace change is this: the mission is more important. The mission is more important. There's no personal preference that's more important. It's the mission of God. Staying the same is too painful. We have to embrace it. I'm going to leave you with this. I'm skipping a bunch of stuff. This right here is a sermon that my friend Greg Pittman preached about 5 months before y'all moved into this building. And the interesting thing is that all of these points, this same chapter, the same 3 healthy things to embrace for change, it all came from him. I'm going to give you 3 quotes and then we'll call it a day. He said this: flexibility is a mark of spiritual maturity. Spiritually mature people know that you must change your approach with different kinds of people. Spiritually mature people know that the methods that were used to win their grandparents to Christ will not work in leading their grandchildren to Christ. Spiritually mature people know that the scriptures teach that it is the mature who are to change and be flexible. Spiritually mature churches know that if things don't change, the church will die. Spiritually mature people know that in matters of the gospel, we stand like a rock. Spiritually mature people also know that in matters of preference, we must swim with the current. Spiritually mature people know that if we are going to reach the culture of the 21st century, we are going to have to continually change in order to meet their needs. But it is staggering to think of the resistance to change that the church often displays. Later on, he says this about mission. Our mission is not our own comfort. Man, sit in that for a day or two. Our mission is not our own comfort. Our mission is to reach a lost and dying world. And though we all have our own preferences and styles, could you imagine a church full of people who forego their own tastes and preferences for the simple cause of reaching the lost? Gosh, dog. He closes the sermon with this. When you encounter a change that ruffles your feathers a little, I want you to ask yourself 3 questions. Am I concerned about the message or methodology? Is it something in which I need to exhibit some flexibility? And am I personally focused on the mission or on me? Friends, I don't know that there needs to be a whole lot of anything added because the text is so clear. When we're left to our own devices, no matter all the cool stuff we see, we still sometimes pick stupid. And I don't want the consequences of that. God is doing something amazing amongst us. It's going to be good. It's going to be so good. And I hope together you will join us as we say, God, we just want you to lead and we're going to follow. We'll take whatever change is needed. If I need to trim my beard, I'll trim my beard. I can't grow hair, Lord, unless you miraculously provide. But if I need to do that, I will do that. Does that make sense, guys? Are y'all with me? It's okay. It's okay. God's mission is significantly more important. Pray with me real quick. The band will come up and we'll sing a song and get out of here. Our Heavenly Father, God, we're not always as desperate for you as we need to be, and I pray right now for you to break us of that. And I pray that, God, from our leadership all the way down to our youngest, I pray that you would put into us a desire, an intense desire for your presence in our lives, an intense desire of desperation to know you more, God, to serve eagerly towards your kingdom each day, to break us free of rituals, Lord, to break us free of our old wineskins where we need to be broken free. Lord, let your peace be here with us. Lord, let your peace that is miraculous, let it be our unity. God, every time we take a communion together each Sunday, let us be reminded of the peace, this miraculous peace in this unity that you alone can give a group of people as diverse as this. Let our cry only be, we just want Jesus. Let us make his name known to the people. God, use us as only you can. We yield to you. Even if we have to change something, Lord, we love you. We do this all in your name.